Hi everyone, it's Paul Brown here from Wealth21. A market update for you recorded on the 4th of December as we near the end of this calendar year. Firstly and importantly, anything in this video is just general information only. If you have any questions regarding your specific circumstances, please feel free to contact us or seek advice from a qualified financial advisor. Firstly, let's just have a look at the index returns to the 31st of October. I don't have the 30 November figures at the date of recording. The main factor of interest has been the bond market, and of course I've been talking about the bond market throughout the year. It has pretty significant losses over the past 12 months, and that has been driven largely by the Reserve Bank's actions to bring into control inflation. So losses for fairly much every asset class over the past 12 months. We've seen cash rates increasing slightly as interest rates have risen. The return from cash has increased a little bit. However, investing is a marathon, not a sprint. So if you look at the column with the 10-year returns, you see that the growth assets have still delivered good returns over the past decade, and it's a matter of being patient with the overall strategy. We'll just have a look at Australian inflation, and inflation is at the last quarter was 7.3%. We got a little bit of a surprise reduction in inflation for October, down to 6.9%, and that was good news because it may be indicating that inflation may be coming more into control. However, we've still got to wait a few months to be sure of that. But inflation has been increasing in Australia throughout the year, and that has led to the Reserve Bank increasing interest rates fairly aggressively. We're now sitting at 2.85%, and that's almost as high as it's been in the last decade. So looking now at the bond rate, because the Reserve Bank has been increasing interest rates fairly aggressively, the bond rate, this is the 10-year bond rate, increased above 4% a couple of times in the middle of the year, in June and then again in September. You will note that it has reduced now down to about 3.35%, and that bond rate is reduced because the expectation is that inflation is being brought under control. So that's good news for the bond rates. If we just have a look at a bond fund, an index bond fund, you'll see that it did have a very steep fall as those bond rates increased very significantly. But just in recent weeks, we've seen the bond prices increase a little bit, which is good news, recovering some ground. It's still a good way down over the past 12 months though. Let's look at the Australian share market very briefly. This is a 5-year chart, and you'll notice in the calendar year of 2022, we've seen two pretty steep falls, a 10% fall early in the year in January, and then another 15% fall in June. But just over recent weeks, the share market has recovered a fair bit of ground. It's probably still going to finish down for 12 months, and it's still way below the peak in the market last September. But we've seen a bit of recovery in recent weeks. So let's turn to the US briefly. Inflation in the US has been moderating, but it was very high. It got to 9.1%. The US Federal Reserve has been increasing interest rates very aggressively to counter inflation. You can see they're sitting right up at 4% now, which is the highest it's been in a good while. And they've been making very aggressive increases, 0.75% at a time, to really bring inflation under control. Looking at global shares, 2022 has been a very, very difficult year for international shares. So we've had a 23% fall over 120 trading days. And we've seen a bit of a recovery in recent weeks as we get towards the end of the financial year, or end of the calendar year. So finally, I just wanted to send Christmas greetings to everyone. We really appreciate the opportunity to assist you with advice and look forward to doing that in 2023 as well. As always, if there's any questions on any of the material in here, please feel free to give us a call. And I hope you and your families all have a safe and enjoyable festive season. Thank you.